Good morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever you're listening to this. This is 2 Cents Worth. I am your host, Ryan Faber. Welcome to the show. If you've been following along and been listening to the episodes, about a year ago, my family and I had to put down our dog of 14 years, Bronx. And a couple months later, we adopted our dog, Decker. He, at the time, was a 9-month-old lab mix, and now he is over 1 year old, and he will be 2 in September. I wanted to give an update on it and, some of my thoughts on him as a dog and a family pet, as well as, the joys of adopting versus getting a puppy, and kind of everything in between. So again, a little over a year ago, we put our dog down, Bronx, Jack Russell Terrier, crazy animal. If you knew him, he was crazy, but he loved our family, and to me, that's what's important. Absolutely wild type dog, but his health declined very quickly. Had diabetes, age, everything else. So, it was time for us to put him down. And I saw a thing the other day, and you never really think of it think of it like this, right? I saw a quote when it was in regard to putting animals down and everything. And it was like, you will remember me longer than you knew me. I was like, wow, that's very profound, sad, but true, right? So we had him for 14 years, but I'm going to remember the dog longer than 14 years, that's for sure. The one thing I was thinking about when I was preparing for this podcast was I wonder what will the boys remember him as long as he was alive, or longer than he was alive, right? Because I remember when I was a kid, we had dogs and everything, and I vividly remember them at this point in my life. And my boys are about the same age as I was when my dog, Taffy, was put down, and so or passed away. I'm not sure. Again, vividly remember, right? And at the time of Bronx's passing, Harrison, who's now 6, but at the time was 4, going to be 5, and Nolan was 8. So Nolan might remember more of Bronx than Harrison, but Harrison at 4 years old, his memory right now of Bronx is basically of an older dog that didn't really play. And now it is, we're at a point to where we're a year plus later, and I think a lot of the memories for Nolan and Harrison are just pictures or videos that I might have on my phone. And so it would be very interesting to see if they remember him as long as or longer than he was alive. I know I will. Obviously, he was my first dog with Lindsay and our family. So he will always be remembered and missed. And, there was one of the biggest things of getting Decker, or even looking to get a dog, was I told Lindsay a couple months had passed since Bronx had gone and everything, and I was like, I'm someone that likes, and not wants, but more so needs a dog. I like having that and that companionship when, I work from home quite a bit, so, I'm the only one in the house. Having him around, knowing when we come home, he's there, to greet us and everything. It makes me feel good. I love having a dog. I love having a pet. And, that was one of our big reasons. And I wanted a lab, something that, an animal, a dog that, was very good with families, that could be trained quite easily, hopefully, right? You never know. And thankfully we found him, and we adopted him from a called Windy Ridge Rescue down in South Carolina, about from where we live in Charlotte. It was about a 2-hour drive. And he's been wonderful. We're his third family. And, that was another thing that came as a surprise to us when we went and adopted him. We thought maybe it was just the first family, had to give him up. We're his third family. So for me as well, from an emotional perspective, I was like, well, I really want to make sure that we give this dog his best life, because at 9 months old, we're already his third family. He probably has no idea what's really going on. So from a tenured perspective already, we've had him longer than his 2 previous families. But he's fit in so well, and he fits in well with the madness that goes on in our house. If you've ever come to our house, thankfully our children are very well behaved, but if you've ever kind of just been a fly on the wall, just like any house that has kids, it's a fucking madhouse. And he's still in the puppy phase, right? He's going to be 2 in September. He's still in a puppy phase. And so, he fits in well with the absolute insanity that goes on inside of our household, with our children running around, with, being loud and everything. And then he also fits in with the office lifestyle that I have here at the house, or when Lindsay works from home and I go into the office. For instance, this morning, right, he is just laying on the couch. That's what he's doing. He's waiting for everyone to get up. He's just, that's his mode that he's in. And then when I work throughout the day, I work upstairs in our house, and there is a couch that is in our living room that faces the front of the house. He just lays on that couch all day long. I'll come down for lunch, and there are times where he doesn't even get off that couch. And I'll have my lunch, and I'll go back up, and I'll go back to work, and he's just there. So from a work perspective, he's also great. He can be left alone. He can chill, and he waits for the boys and Lindsay to come home, or vice versa, me to come home. And then, it's family time again. And so, he's fit in quite well with our schedule, with our routine, with just the way that our house operates. And that's been a huge blessing, because you never know what you're going to get when you adopt a dog, right? You don't know what type of potential trauma they've gone through, if they're going to have separation anxiety, if they're going to have outbursts, anything like that, right? And a year in, he's been wonderful. Now, we did our due diligence, and we hired a trainer, and we had him come once or twice every single week for probably the first 2 months. And then anytime we would go on vacation for the first couple months, we would have Decker go to him, and so he would do some extra training with him as well. And so we really kind of put that effort in to ensure that we were going to create a great environment, not only for Decker, but for ourselves as well, and for our kids. And he's fit in great. Now, there are times where he might get a little rough. He's 80 pounds, right? So he might get a little rough with the kids. And more often than not, that comes down to them just ignoring him, right? I mean, most mornings when they're up, they're just like most people, right? They take a little bit to kind of wake themselves up and everything. But Decker sees them, and he's like, well, I've been up for a couple hours because Dad gets up at 4 o'clock in the morning. And so I've been up waiting for you guys to get up. It's playtime. And they're like more of like, no, I want to relax. I want to do my own thing. I want to kind of wake myself up. And so there are times where he'll still kind of nip at them and everything. And we're working through that and kind of trying to change that behavior. But overall, very good listener. He's been a great dog, a great addition to the house, and just really pleased with being able to find him and give him the home that he deserves, right? And I think that's always important when you're looking at, if you're ever looking to adopt a dog or rescue or whatever, however you want to put it. That's the important thing, or any animal. Let's not say a dog, but any animal. You want to put them in a situation that they can thrive and be the animal that they deserve and have the life that they deserve. And we've been able to do that, and I'm so happy. I'm happy for him. I'm happy for our family that he fits in so well. And it's great because, even at 80 pounds, Lindsay is able to go and take him on a walk. Nolan will go and take him on a walk with Lindsay or I, kind of as, there to just ensure that he doesn't like drag him down the street if he sees a squirrel or anything like that. Because again, he's still excitable. He's still a puppy, not even 2 years old yet. He's got a lot of that energy. But to be able to even allow my 9-year-old to go and hold the leash and walk the dog, and the dog to be able to understand that is fantastic. And, it's just worked out so well in our favor. We certainly lucked out, and I would suggest, obviously, if you're looking to adopt or rescue a dog in the Charlotte or the North or South Carolina area, or even Georgia, look in at Windy Ridge Rescue. Fantastic people to work with, and they always have the need for either fosters, adoption, dogs, cats, and they do a really good job of ensuring that you're the right family for the animal, and that they're not just going to go and place the animal with anybody, and they do their due diligence, and it's a fantastic organization. So highly suggest you, if you're looking to adopt or rescue, right, to do that. But I wanted to give this update because on July 10th it was Decker's and I didn't know this. Lindsay told me this. I did not know there was such a thing as a gotcha day, but that's what it is called when you would adopt or rescue an animal. It is their gotcha day. So it was a year ago on July 10th that we got Decker, and so we celebrated his gotcha day. It was on our calendar downstairs in the kitchen. Lindsay had it all written out and everything, and that's been something nice to see as well. I love my wife. She didn't grow up with dogs. To see her grow and appreciate Decker and really grasp a hold of him being a part of our family, and create a routine with him as well. I walk him in the morning. She walks him at night most of the time. And we didn't have that with Bronx. I'll be very honest with you all as listeners, if you don't know, and Lindsay would probably say this as well. Bronx was my dog. Though we got him when we were together, Bronx was my dog. More often than not, my responsibility. Anytime he was bad, he was my dog. All those things, right? So this time, Decker is our family's dog. And it's been nice to see that it wasn't just, well, we got the dog because Ryan wanted the dog. The kids play with him, not as much as I want. Sometimes they do ignore him, and that's like I said, he nips at him and everything, but they're kids too, so they don't always want to play with the dog. They want to go and do their own thing, but at the same time, he sees them as his best friends. Like, if I was to say in our household who Decker views as like an equal, it's Nolan. Like, he sleeps in Nolan's bed. He always wants to play with Nolan. He wants to play with Harrison, but it's usually when Nolan either isn't around or Nolan's ignoring him and Harrison's available, right? But Nolan is usually the first of the two children that he always goes to. Like I said, he sleeps in his bed. That's his best bud, right? So it's nice to see that as well. I know as a kid, I always wanted a dog like that. And when I was growing up, our dogs were always best friend, looked at my dad as like their best friend, and then it was just kind of us as the kids and everything, and they would play with us and everything. But in this situation, Decker's really clung on to Nolan, and Nolan for the most part reciprocates that as well. Obviously as a kid he wants to do his own thing, and he's like, oh, I don't want to go in the backyard because all he's going to want to do is play, and I want to play soccer or whatever else. And it's like, dude, play with him for 10 minutes and he'll get bored, and then you can do whatever you want, right? Like, throw the ball with Decker for 10 minutes and the dog is good. He just wants to burn off some energy. But really great to see that with him and Decker and our entire family, just that everyone has really grabbed a hold of him and said, hey, this is our family dog, and it's great. And the neighbors love him. He's such a friendly dog, which, you worry about as well is, you read the description of these animals on these sites, from a rescue perspective, and you're like, okay, they say they're great with other kids, so they say they're great with other animals. Are they really, or are they just, unfortunately, I don't know, but do they say that just to try and get the dog or pet a new family? This case, not at all. Decker loves all dogs that he sees. He loves all people. That's some of the stuff that we train him on, and as well as when we're walking. It's like, dude, not everybody wants an 80-pound dog coming up to them and wanting to be their friend. So we work on that as well. Anytime that we have someone walk down the street, I make sure that he sits and he heels right next to me. And we usually get such, great compliments of how well behaved he is and everything. And I'm like, well, that's what we wanted, right? Because our previous dog was an absolute wild animal, for all the right and wrong reasons. But it's been fantastic, and it's been over a year, 11 days or 10 days, whatever it is, over the year that we've had Decker, and he's been a wonderful addition to our family. And this is going to be a short one. I think we're only 15 minutes in or so, but I would suggest that, if you're ever looking to add a dog or a cat or to your family, yes, having puppies is great. I think, getting a puppy would be wonderful. It's a great experience. It's a tough experience. I've gone now through having 2 children and raising a puppy with Bronx 14 years ago. I would now, from a go-forth perspective, probably just adopt dogs. The puppy phase is great, but it is a lot of work. And with our crazy schedules, a lot of work is something that sometimes we just really don't have the time for. It's nice to be able to leave Decker alone for hours and know that he's going to be fine. He's not going to need to go to the bathroom and use the bathroom. He does a great job of holding his bladder and everything, and just a wonderful dog. I would suggest that if you are looking to add a pet to your family, to go and look at that route as well. There are plenty of animals that need homes. I am now a true advocate of it. I think it's fantastic to give an animal a second, or in this case, a third chance, and let them shine and thrive in their environment and be the animal that they deserve and have the life that they deserve. And, I know, and hopefully I don't have to deal with this for a very, very long time, but I know that I definitely will remember Decker longer than I've known him, just like Bronx. And so very happy with how everything has turned out. He's been with us over a year now. He's fantastic. We love him. I tell him all the time, thank you. I whisper it in his ear. I tell him, thank you, buddy. I'm like, thank you for being such a good dog. Thank you for me, helping me get over Bronx's passing. So, it's great. And I know he doesn't know what I'm saying, but he reciprocates the love that we give him, right? So I'll give him a hug, and then he'll like nudge his head on mine, and then, lick my face or whatever, which is kind of gross, but, showing the appreciation and the love back to us, which has been fantastic. So I highly suggest adopting or rescuing if you have the opportunity to do so. It's a great thing to do for the animals, and I also suggest that do your due diligence, find a good rescue company, find the right type of dog, right? We were looking for a lab. He fit the mold. He is a lab mix. He has basically every big dog you can imagine in him. He's 40% lab, 18% golden retriever. Then it's like pit bull, German shepherd, husky, chow chow. Like basically any big dog somehow is bred through his line. So, but mostly lab or retriever, Labrador retriever or golden retriever is basically the majority of what his bloodline is. So fantastic dog. If you haven't seen Decker, there's pictures on my Instagram or Facebook. Ryan.DeFaber is my Instagram. But that's our update for today. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. As always, drop us a like, share it. Let me know that you're listening. I appreciate all of the support. And as I mentioned, for this grouping of episodes, we will be getting guests on, trying to lock down some people, some neighbors, some other friends and whatnot for the upcoming episodes. But for today, it was an update on Decker. I hope you guys have a great day. I hope you enjoyed listening. As always, that's my 2 cents worth on the subject of rescuing an animal and the update that we have today. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you.